Hey, what's going on, guys? Rem Gaming here, back into the video. Today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Sylas in the mid lane. All right, let's start out with some of the strengths and weaknesses of playing something like Sylas. So Sylas has really good poke and wave clear with his Q ability. So Sylas is basically going to lash out with his chains, and it's going to do some initial damage, and then it's going to explode for magical damage after a short delay. So not only is that really good for his poke and his wave clear, but it's also really good to set up his jungler for ganks, because his Q does also provide a slow. Then also with his W ability, so his W is going to be Kingslayer, so Sylas lunges at an enemy with magical force, dealing damage and healing himself against enemy champions. So you see already he's very straightforward, he's very easy to play. A lot of the skill that comes with Sylas will actually go into his ultimate, which we'll talk about here in just a bit. But his Q and W are very straightforward. They do damage and they do some healing. And then we also have his E. So his E ability allows him to basically throw his chains out at a target. He can recast it and he will pull himself towards that target. So you can use this to like dodge skill shots. You can also go on a vulnerable carry with this and kind of lock him down. So he does have a pretty decent dive and burst potential. Now, going into some of the weaknesses is his ultimate. Actually, it can make or break. His ultimate is going to be very dependent on the enemy team comp. So the way his ultimate works is it's called hijack, and you just simply steal the enemy's ultimate and it becomes yours. So if the enemy team has pretty bad ultimates, then you're going to have pretty bad ultimates as well. Another weakness of Sylas is he's countered by grievous wounds pretty well, because his Kingslayer W does a lot of healing to him. So if the enemy team does build a whole bunch of grievous wounds items, you will really feel that in your self-sustain. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how you play Sylas throughout the early, mid, and late game. So starting out with the early game here. So Sylas is definitely going to be a lane bully. So you can play pretty aggressively with him. He's also a very snowbally champion as well. So if you can get a couple kills on him, you're pretty much going to be able to burst anybody on the enemy team down very easily. And then in the early game, to kind of get that snowbally impact going, what you really need to be doing is you need to be thinking about who you can steal an ultimate from. So Sylas is normally, I would consider him a pretty good roamer, because he can kind of roam around the map and he can steal other people's ultimates, and you can take it back against your laner and you can directly counter them with it. So for example, let's say Graves comes and ganks you, you could steal his ultimate. Let's say you survive the gank, then you can now use Graves' ultimate on your enemy laner and you can have an absolutely insane amount of burst damage. So Sylas's early game is not super strong. I'd probably put it somewhere, medium. He's not weak, he's not strong, he's kind of in the middle. But by stealing the correct ultimate, you can really snowball out of control very, very quickly. And that's where Sylas starts to come online, is in the mid game. So before we get to the mid game, there is one more thing here. You're gonna make sure that the minion wave, the enemy minion wave, is pushing into you. So this is gonna do two things. It's gonna protect you from ganks, and this is also gonna give you enough room to run down the enemy laner. And this is easier said than done, especially if you're playing against somebody who knows how to properly freeze a wave. But that is a tip if you are in lower elo, is try to get that wave to push into you. Now for the mid game, what you're really looking to do is you're looking to get into a side lane and you're looking to split push. And whenever your ultimate is up, that's the time that you want to group. So try to split push, get to their tier 2, take their enemy camps. Then when your ultimate is up again, go ahead and group and look for a team fight. Now where Sylas really shines is going to be in the late game as we get more points into his ultimate. So when you get 3 points into your ultimate, it becomes a 30-second cooldown, which is very insane, because you could steal other people's ultimates throughout the enemy team and you can use their ultimate more than they can. So this is where you get all that power from Sylas, is he is just pretty much late game sending ultimates every 30 seconds. And also late game is when you get all that AP scaling to kick in. So you're doing a whole bunch of healing, you're doing a ton of burst damage, and you really kind of become the carry yourself late game. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at runes. So the runes he'll be running, he'll be taking the Precision Tree. We'll be going Conqueror, Presence of Mind, into Legend Haste, into Last Stand. We'll also be running the Resolve Tree. We'll be taking Second Wind into Unflinching. And then your final runes will be Adaptive Force into Health Scaling. Level 1, you'll be taking your E ability. Level 2, you'll be taking your W ability. Level 3, your Q. Then your max order from there will be W, E, Q. And then, of course, prioritizing your ultimate whenever that is available. Summoner spells you'll be taking will be Flash and Teleport. And then your items, your starter items will pretty much always be Doran's Ring into 2 health potions into your Stealth Ward. First back, you should probably be looking for an Amplifying Tome into Basic Boots. And then your core items are going to be Hex Tech Rocket Belt, Sorcerer's Shoes into Cosmic Drive. And then you'll be finishing out your full build with Azania's Hourglass, a Rabadon's Death Cap, and then finally a Crypt Bloom. Now, we obviously do have some situational items. You could go something like a Rift Maker, so that's especially good if you're against some very tanky comps. You could also go something like a Void Staff, which is also going to give you that additional magic penetration versus tanky comps. If you are against something like an Annie who has a very big stun, something like a Malphite, you could go something like a Banshee's Veil for that big CC to kind of counter that hard engage. And then if you are needing a little bit more burst damage, you can go like a Lich Bane or a Shadow Flame. And then if you do need to counter some healing, so if you need some anti-heal, you can go Morello. And then one thing we haven't talked about yet is his passive, so Petricite Burst. So basically, as he casts his abilities, he will get this stacking attack speed bonus. So you'll get 80% bonus attack speed, and you can have 3 stacks at a time. So basically, your next basic attack is going to deal a bunch of extra magic damage while you do have a stack. So you really want to be weaving in autos when you do trade. So it's very important to use an ability, auto, so that you're getting those beefed up auto attacks. Now let's quickly talk about a couple of combos that you can use for Sylas. So his most basic engage is going to be E, E, auto, Q into another auto, W, auto, auto. So since your passive is a stacking effect, you don't have to get an auto attack in between each spell specifically. You can build up a couple stacks and then use the autos later. So that right there is probably going to be your most basic engage. Another combo you can use is you can actually cancel your ultimate animation. So you can use your ultimate on somebody to steal it, and then you can go and instantly just Q, and you'll cancel the entire animation. So you can ultimate, then Q, then ultimate, and then instantly E away. And then for a maximum damage combo, you can go E into Q, and then E again. That way you can guarantee the second part of your Q damage. And then you'll just simply follow that up with an auto attack, W, and then 3 more auto attacks. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. See you on the next one.